As I was saying at the beginning, the video I dropped earlier, I'm going to be taking you on a 20 years journey in the next 20 days. We're going to be starting with the year 2006, when I first landed at Pearson International Airport. The year 2006, I call it, why on earth am I here? Although I had landed at Pearson in 2006, I had actually left home on December 16, 2005. That was the last time I saw my family, just shortly after celebrating my 17th birthday. Then it all went black. I had to say goodbye to my family, not knowing the next time I will see them. The heartbreak, going into the unknown. I first stayed in Europe with family friends for a few months. I will forever be grateful to them. They welcomed me with open arms as if I was their own. I had to get my first winter jacket there and take the subway for the first time. Brussels was an adventure. Then came April 1st, 2006. The day I call the longest day of my life because I left Brussels early morning on that day, but landed in Canada hours later, but it was still daytime on April 1st, 2006. What? That was my first notion of different time zones. Yes, Brussels and Kinshasa had different times, but it was only an hour. But I had spent nearly 9 hours on a plane and I was still landing on the same date? Make that make sense. I was flabbergasted. After a long time of processing documents, I was picked up by a family member. What I didn't know was that I had an hour or so drive ahead of me. Yes, that's why I call it the longest April Fool's Day of my life. I thought that the time change was the biggest shock I will encounter, but that was far from what my journey had in store for me. I had quickly enrolled in high school to finish my diploma at Holy Cross Catholic Secondary School. Go Raiders! Then summer came. I got my first summer job. A fruit packager at a farm. We were packing prunes. That job was something, let me tell you. Oh my God. I didn't last long. Also, it was a summer job, so it really didn't take long. Another shocker. The language. What? I only spoke French. Yes. I had been a great student of English in Congo. My English for Africa did not prepare me for the Canadian vernacular. I realized that I was not at all conversational. Then comes in Mrs. Dobrocki, my ESL, English as a second language teacher. That woman made me fall in love with English. I can remember hearing the PA system every morning after we sang "Oh Canada." They gave their announcements. To me, they might as well been speaking Chinese because I could not understand anything. I was so scared that I would never be able to understand it. And if I couldn't understand it, how could I go far in this country? But there was Mrs. Dobrocki, who broke it down for us and encouraged us to speak. I was so determined to learn the language that I watched the news every single evening. I didn't speak a lick of English. I could not understand a single word. But I told myself that the only way to reach my goal was to immerse myself in it. That was until I started recognizing some words, until I could point out some pictures and try to make up what the story was about on the TV. Before I knew it, those morning announcements that sounded like Japanese became words I could understand. Then the house I was living in became a nightmare. That was an extremely dark period in my life. I heard the word suicide for the first time in one of the school assemblies because one of the students had committed suicide, and there was another set of girls who had been killed in a car accident. But what no one knew was that I too was planning on ending my life. Why did I leave my parents' house? Why did I leave my parents' house to come and suffer in Canada? I didn't want to tell anyone what I was going through because I didn't want to worry them. And it's not like they could do anything about it. Then my birthday, my 18th birthday came on December 1st, 2006. What a heartache that was. I told the people I was living in that I wanted to invite my friends. I was planning on having a pizza party, and just pizza and cake. By that time, I was basically on my own, so I went to Walmart. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. I took the bus at the time, but because there was no evening buses that came there was no... St. Catharines has changed now, because at that time, there was no evening bus that came by my house. So I had to stop really far and then walk home. Mind you, there were 2 cars in that house, but I had no way to. I didn't have access to it. So I walked. But one thing I didn't know what would happen was the rain. It was November 30th, 2006. I can never forget the day before my birthday. On that cold and rainy day, I walked all the way home. I remember being so devastated, but I was trying to keep it together because I had to make it home. Oh, come on. I want to cry. I want tissues just because I knew that I would, but I didn't want to cry. I had to make it home. As I got home, I'm showing what I bought. I'm told, who told you people eat pizza from the store on birthdays? You have to order pizza from pizzerias. I had thought that I mentioned. Now looking back even 20 years later, that was all lies. It's your party. You can do whatever you want, whatever you can afford. That I wanted to do it. Nobody told me that. But then I so excitedly show you what I have for my birthday. That's what you said. I wasn't told prior to that. I was still navigating my way through a new country and in the culture. Why not tell me when I shared the plans with you? Then the day came. And my friend took a long time to come, and I was genuinely covered in shame because it looked like no one would show up. Oh my God! It looked like no one would show up. I was so ashamed. I'm like, oh my God, these people now are like, hey, she thought she... Anyway. Imagine living in such a hard... I don't like using the word toxic because everybody uses it, but that's what it was. And you tell them, your friends are coming, and no one shows up. Hey! Shame, Jesus. But then I heard the bell. My friend showed up. We ate our pizza. They also brought me a cupcake for my birthday. It wasn't a long visit because, they had gotten rights from the parents. They had to pick them up. But at least they showed up. That was the start of a very, very, very difficult few years in my life. But I'm grateful because I'm here. I didn't give up. I'm not sharing so that you feel pity for me. I'm just sharing so that you can see how you can overcome. No matter how dark it gets, no matter how hopeless you might feel right now, I'm telling you, hang on one more time. Hang it there. Don't end it. I'm telling you, I am proof. I am proof. Yes, you think I'm crying because genuinely it hurts. But I'm also just an emotional person. I can't read something like that and not cry. Although it doesn't hurt as it used to. It's genuinely, I just look at that girl and I'm proud of her because she's the girl that's speaking to you today. She made it. She did. Despite all of that. So, thank you for coming with me for the year 2006. And see you in the year 2007.